What's up YouTube, my name is Folie, and today I'm going to be bringing you a guide on how to play my favorite support in League of Legends, and that's Janna. Alright, let's take a quick look at Janna's abilities. Her passive is called Tailwind. This basically increases the movement speed of all allies on the map by 3%. It's a great passive, it can really help you escape in some dire situations, but what this does not mean is that you wait until the 30th minute of the game to go buy boots. Her Q is called Howling Gale. It's a projectile that basically charges up for a few seconds. The more seconds it is charged up, the more damage it does. It also has a knock up as it goes over people, so it's a good AoE CC. If you can hit a full team with it, it could be rather helpful. Usually you won't be charging it up to full, however you'll be shooting it off really quickly just to get that knock up to try and secure a kill in your lane. The W is called Zephyr. Essentially it grants Janna even more movement speed, but also gives her the ability to go through creeps, similar to the Ghost effect, avoid unit collision. It also has a really strong slow and can deal quite a bit of damage if you go AP Janna, but this is a support Janna guide, and if you shoot it to people, so you're going to be using that to also try and secure kills. The E is called Eye of the Storm. Now what a lot of people don't know about this, or what a lot of people overlook, is the fact that at full level it gives you plus 50 attack damage, and that's a free BF sword. So when you get into the later stages of the game, you don't want to be throwing this on your tank to try and mitigate 200 damage. You want to be throwing it onto your carry, or maybe onto a bruiser who's going to be running straight into the fight and doing as much damage as possible in a short time. However, in the early games you can use it to mitigate damage, because the cooldown's rather short and the mana cost isn't that high in the first few levels, so you can spam it on your carry to try and shield them from a little bit of damage, as Janna doesn't have any heal. Her ultimate is Monsoon. Essentially what this does is knock back all enemies in an area, similar to a Grog Assault, and it does have a heal, but the heal is not very strong, so I wouldn't recommend using it for a heal. There are some situations when you could use it and you might clutch heal your carry and maybe just get double kill on the bottom lane, or there's some situations where you might use it and do absolutely nothing and get double killed. A quick look at the rune page I use for non-aggressive supports. Essentially it is armor red, armor yellow, magic resist per level blue, and gold per time quints. Now I'm just going to show you two slightly different mastery pages that I like to use when I play support. They're both 0921s. I don't ever play with a 0219, but I have seen people do it and it's perfectly acceptable. The 9 points into the defense tree, getting you a little bit extra magic resistant armor and of course some more health. The 1 point there into Summoner's Insight, because it will improve both heal, flash, and CV. So it really just depends what you're going to be taking. The 1 point there for Scout for extended wards coverage, just why not. 4 points in Greed for that extra gold, it's going to help me buy more wards. And I go in this one for 4 points Swiftness. You will have a bit of diminishing returns on Janna, you'll be very fast, very hard to catch. And then we're going to go down to Intelligence, cooldown reduction, Mastermind, cooldown reduction on those summoner spells. For the second page, it's the same thing essentially, apart from the fact you're not putting 4 points in Swiftness. Instead, you're going to be taking the 2 points in Wealth. The reason you can do this is, usual starting build would be something like the Mana Pendant and 3 wards, 2 health pots, but if you go with the extra 40 gold, you can do the Mana Pendant, 2 wards, 1 pink ward, and then a health pot or a mana pot, depending on what you like to do. Also, if you go this way, which I prefer to go, you can get 2 points in awareness for extra experience gain, which might just slightly give you the advantage in lane if you can hit level 2, 3, 4 just a split second before the enemy team can. And then you can just do some aggressive dive maneuver if you can coordinate it well with your laning mate. In terms of first ability on Janna, you should double check whether or not your team wants to be aggressive and invade the enemy jungle, or if the enemy jungle and team is going to invade you. If either of those are the case, you probably want to take the Q, because it could give you the knock up and secure a kill. However, because I usually run flash CV on Janna, you can CV the enemy blue. If you see 3 or 4 of them there, they're probably not going to be aggressive, so you can go ahead and take Eye of the Storm. The good thing about taking Eye of the Storm first is you can mitigate damage on your jungler when he does the pull at wolves and at blue. The short cooldown and the low mana cost make it so that you can do it at both pulls and pretty much go to lane with almost no impact to your mana. In terms of a full skill build on Janna, essentially I level E first, W second, Q last, getting points in R whenever I can. So basically you want to go E, W, E, Q, E, R. In terms of ward spots for purple side, you can ward the Tri-Bush, which will be coming up shortly. And then you can also go ahead and ward the dragon. I tend to like pinking the dragon because it means I can deny their vision and we can take it whenever we want. If you're being blue side, you can ward the dragon or you can ward slightly closer towards your bush. What the next few clips are all going to be displaying is just essentially how to use Janna's combo and moves once you're level 6 to secure kills. The Xin came all the way from behind to get a gank, so I made sure to try and slow the Ollie and at the same time as hit both of them with a tornado. Fortunately I only hit the Ezreal, but we still managed to land the kill. At the start of this fight I put the Eye of the Storm shield onto the Caitlyn because I knew she'd be able to deal more damage at range. However, once we started diving, I made sure to throw the shield onto the Xin so it would take less damage from the tower. Once you have the advantage with Janna in your lane, you really need to push it. Because of the fact she doesn't have any reliable form of sustain, being aggressive is probably your best option. Here Caitlyn and I are attempting to trade with Ezreal and get them significantly low as a result. Unbeknownst to us, Annie and Xin are invading the Rammus jungle and are about to force the fight 4v3 onto the tower. So I head around the back, and the first thing I attempt to do is to shield the Xin as he dives the tower, thinking that Rammus would taunt him. However, for some reason he taunts Annie. As we dive the tower, I try to get a double knockup with the tornado. You should always try to hit multiple targets with it because it's a projectile and can do that. As soon as Alistar ults, we have to back away from him because we can't do damage, and Malzahar goes for a flash ult attempting to kill Xin. But however, because he just used ult only, which really doesn't do that much damage without the pool or silence or malefic visions on, doesn't really get anything out of that. So I chase onto the Alistar, and using Zephyr, which has quite a significant slow as you saw right there, I enable Annie and Caitlyn to pick up a kill. In this clip right here, I get caught by Alistar and Ezreal, and they get a full combo onto me. However, what I'm trying to display to you is the fact that there's really no excuse to getting killed and caught as Janna unless there's multiple opponents. I'm able to escape them, move back to my tower as they continue chasing, and then I return and pick up a kill as Xin comes down into my lane and helps out. You essentially want to try and pick Janna when you don't have any strong sort of AoE, and if they have a very good initiation comp, because Janna can disengage in a similar way that Gragas can disengage using his ultimate. So any sort of push R and run at people team like Morgana Cannon, Fiddlesticks, any of those, Janna works really well against because she can use her ult to push them away and to keep your team alive. With that in mind though, you should never pick Janna if your team is going for an AoE comp, because there's nothing more frustrating than Morgana landing an ult, Cannon landing an ult, Movement landing an ult, or Fiddle landing an ult, and then you flash ulting the entire enemy team to safety. In terms of what summoners to take on Janna, it's completely up to you. I like to play the aggressive flash style of Janna, so a flash is almost always one of my summoners. Other good summoner choices would be heal, and if your carry is taking cleanse or heal himself, you can always take exhaust. I like taking clairvoyance, but because of the recent nerfs to that, a lot of supports don't use it as much anymore. In terms of item build, I've already mentioned the two possible starting options, starting with the 3 green wards or the 2 green 1 pink ward. From that point, you basically want to build a Philo Stone, 5 boots 1, build a Heart of Gold, and depending on how early in the game is, you can finish up your level 2 boots. I like to go Merc Treads, but Ionian's also acceptable. Then you can start building towards that Shuri Elves for the movement speed increase and the cooldown reduction, which will help you net more kills for your team. In any situation, when you can finish an item, say you have the Ruby Crystal and you can finish the Heart of Gold, but it would leave you unable to buy wards, you want to wait, buy 1 or 2 wards. Wards win games, guys. Don't ever finish an item if you can't buy wards, because it will leave your team vulnerable. Other acceptable items on Janna would be an Aegis, or anything to help out your team. For instance, a Starks if you're heavy attack damage, or an Abyssal if you're heavy AP. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and please rate, comment, like, subscribe for more content, and I'll just see you next time.